Yes. So good morning, everyone. So thanks for joining the today's session. So we are going to discuss about the. So now everyone knows. So we are in the presentation layer. We are in the presentation layer. When we click on, when we log on, our SAP screen is opening here. SAP screen is opening here. So here we are executing the user ID. Then we are entering the user ID and the password. Just click on OK button. Then you are logging into the your SAP system. Authentication is happening. Then you are getting the SAP home page you are getting. So how this process is working here? How this process is working? So here, how the user authentication is accessible here? How the user authentication is happening? How the user authentication is happening? Suppose if I type the wrong password, how it is detecting this password is wrong? Normally, so all SAP systems it's the same behavior. Normally wherever you go, it's the same behavior. How the authentication is working here, how the authentication mechanism is working here. So this we should understand the logic here, how it is working, the how the user logon process is working. So we should understand what exactly happens when user is trying to log into the SAP system. So how is logging to the SAP system, how data is fetching, then if the data is not available in the buffer, then how it is going to the database level, how it is fetching. So we'll draw the one simple diagram here, then we can understand the in deep concept. So that based on this, at end of this one, we will understand. So if the user is unable to log in, the response time is very bad. You should understand where is the problem. Okay, that concept we'll discuss now. Okay, so after this we'll directly jump into the SAP transport management, because that is the important topic. But these are also important topics. Some logic questions they may ask you in in your real time scenarios. So sometimes user process gets stuck, user unable to log in, user slowness, the response time is very high. This type of issues we may face. So in this case, we should understand response time means how the what is the response time means. What is the dialogue step here? So what is the user context, roll in, roll out, wait time, buffer time, GUI time, CPU time, DB time. So what is this times? Right? In ST03, we can see the all the times, right? So how can we check here? How? So those things we will see now here. Okay. So if you see here, this is our presentation layer, right? This is our presentation layer means, so our layer where you are logging, where you are opening the SAP GUI. This is your presentation layer here, right? So then after that, we have the SAP layer. This is our SAP layer. This is our SAP layer. Okay, then we have the database. We have the database. So this is our SAP architecture, right? This is our SAP architecture. This is our SAP, and this is our database. So DB automatically SAP will connect to the DB. There is a dependency. It will connect it here. It will connect it here, right? This is the DB layer. This is the SAP layer. This is the presentation layer, right? Presentation layer means where our logon pad SAP screens. So this is our presentation layer. This means this is our presentation layer. Why? Because here we have the SAP GUI browsers. So time normally we will work from here, right? We will work in this screen, right? So here this is our presentation layer. From here you are launching the SAP screen. You are launching the SAP screen means middle screen you are launching. This screen you are launching. So how exactly the process is working here? Okay. So now I will explain some deeply. Okay. So yeah, the first here, when you're trying to connect here, so we have in SAP side, so we have the dispatcher. Let me take one color here. Okay. So we have the dispatcher, above dispatcher here. Okay. Dispatcher. Okay. This is the dispatcher. Let me take it here. Dispatcher. I will call it as the dispatcher, above dispatcher. Okay, so dispatcher. Under the dispatcher will assign the request to the work process, right? Work process. So now I will make it here. This is the work process here. Work process here. So in the work process, this is the work process. How about like one dialog work process number 0? Okay, this is the work process. So work process, I will write it like work process. Okay, work process. So here inside of the work process here we have, suppose if I go deeply here, we have the task handler. It will handle the, it will take the task, it will assign the task to your request, it will assign the task to your request. Then so we have the, so we have the screen interpreter, then screen interpreter, above interpreter, then so database interpreter interrupt the screens. Okay, interrupt the screens. So let me adjust here. Yes. Okay, so now take here, this is the task handler. I will write it here. So task hand, something like task handler. Maybe. Okay, okay, that's fine. Okay, you can understand, right? Task handler. Okay, so task handler. Then here we have the screen processor. SP means screen processor. Screen processor, processing our screens. So then we have immediately, we have above interpreter. So then I'm writing in the shortcuts only. Okay, database interpreter. So these are the internal mechanism. These are the internal memory, internal mechanism. Each work process they have the some internal memory, right? Each work process some eat the, some consume the, some block the, whatever the words we have to use it. Some consume the, some to holds the. It will like the some amount of memory. This is called the work process one. So work process one. This is the work process 0. 1, 2, 3, like that we have the number of work process in the system, right? So whenever you increase the work process, it will holds the, it will consume the, it will block the some amount of memory, that is called the internal memory. That is what we discussed yesterday, right? Some memory, right? So then so let me draw the diagram, then I will explain clearly. Okay, so here what exactly happens when assigned to the task handler, then there is a shared memory, like what how can I write it here? Yes, here, yeah, here we have role area user context, role area user context. So then we have buffers. Buffers. We have buffers here. Okay. This is the architecture of the internal architecture of the SAP system. Okay. Internal architecture of the SAP system. So some deeply. So we are discussing here. Okay. Don't get confused. Just this is only theoretical. Nowhere there is no transaction. Nothing is there. So just to understand for your reference, so I am explaining here. Okay, so this is the role in user context, role area. This is called the role area. This all total is called the role area. So role area, this is called the user context. User context means user context. Maybe I will write it here, user context. User, okay, just like user context. User context means our user related data, like user id, password, user settings, all will be stored in the user context here. This is just part of the role area. This is part of the role area. Okay, role. This is part of the role area. Then, so at the same time, we have the buffers, right? So buffers, application buffers. So like screen buffers. So this is called the buffers. Buffer. Here we have buffers, buffers in SP02, CUA buffer, program buffer, calendar buffer. So all the buffers, etc. I will like it as etc. Okay, these are the buffers. Okay, these are the buffers. Then we have the DB, we have the database, right? So this is what SAP internal architecture. This is what SAP internal architecture. So now, whenever you log into the system, let me take a different color here. Okay, so you are logged into the system, then here immediately the dispatcher will take your request, and the dispatcher will maintain the dispatcher has some queue. It will maintain your request in the queue mechanism. Queue mechanism means FIFO order. It will maintain the request in the FIFO order, first in first out order. Okay, first request you are open, you are in the SAP GUI. When you double click it, the dispatcher will take it out. Dispatcher is part of the application server, SAP application server. Then it will maintain the request in the FIFO order, first in first out. Then it will assign the request to the work process. Then it will assign the request to the work process. Then in the work process we have task handler. Task handler. This task handler, what we will do, the task handler, then so it will interrupt your request. So then task handler, what he will do here, it will go and check in the your user data in the it will go and check in the your user data, user context. In the role area we have the user data. In the role area we have the user data. It will go and validate your credentials and everything. So that is called the role in. Task handler to so user context, task handler to user context, that is called the role in. Role area, role in memory, role out memory, we will call it as, right? Role in means inside means, so task handler to role user context, that is called the user. So role in, this is called the role in. Let me write it here, you will understand. Role in. Okay, role in means, so work process will check the your Azure authentication in the user context. Then once it will be validate, then it will send back to the again task handler. So task handler will go and check the your user credentials. If everything is okay, then it will go to screen interpreter. Screen interpreter means screen processing your screen. Then immediately ABAP interpreter and interrupt your ABAP code and everything. It will write, whatever the request you are giving, that it will interrupt in the ABAP screen. Then database interpreter. So database interpreter. Then immediately it will check the request in the buffers. So you have already request in the buffer or not, it will check, right? It will check. If nothing is there, if data is nothing is there in the buffer, nothing is there, so then immediately it will go in the database level. It will check. Then it will give the code back to the your buffer. It will put the code back to the buffers. Then immediately it will hand over the your request to the here in the screen, in the your presentation screen. It will handle it. See here. So let me take example here. So you are in the SAP screen now. Okay, just double click. When you are double clicking, you are getting your request is allocated to the one work process. Your request is dispatch will take, it will assign the request to the one work process. Okay, work process taken your request, right? Then here I am entering here I am entering user ID and a password. Why? Because security is very important here. So then if you double click it, what will exactly happens? It will go inside of the user context. and it will check whether this user is valid or not. It will check, right? It's checked that one. Okay, now you have the home screen is opened. Now I want to open the one transaction code. Just open the one transaction code, that's TA30. So what exactly happens here, when you enter the 30th transaction code, it will check, it will interrupt your screen, it will interrupt your screen, then it will go to the ABAP interpreter. It means whatever the request you have written here, so whatever the request, okay, you are just entering into the one transaction code here, right? But this transaction code is the one of the business page, it's written into the code. So ABAP interpreter, it will interrupt the code. In the code language, it interrupted, and it will connect to the database interpreter. Then it will check the whether you have already data in the buffer or not. It will check. Okay, it is already there in the buffer, then it won't go into the database level. Immediately you will get the data, so it's already there in the buffer. So that is the reason you got the immediate screen after the entering into the credentials. Then you typed one screen like SICF, then so immediately you got the response immediately. Why? Because the data is there in the buffers. The data is there in the buffers. So buffers, it is there. So then it won't go to the database level. Immediately it will give the response to the your screen, your GUI screen. It will give the response to the your GUI screen. It will give the response to the your GUI screen. So if nothing found in the buffer, what exactly happens? Then it will go to the database level. In the database level, it will fetch the data. Then so it will one copy of data will be stored into the buffer. Why? Because the next time if you access the same, then data should be available here, right? Then one copy of data will be available here. Then same data will be displayed in the your GUI screen. GUI screen. So this will happen as a internal mechanism. Okay. So now if you understand this concept, I will write down the step by step here. Just I will do the write up here. Why? Because you can understand instead of telling this so things. If I write up here, then you can understand. After that, some reference purpose, you can understand it. Now you can understand that what exactly happening when you are logging to the, when you click on the SAP screen, everybody can click open the SAP screen. So even my kid also, she will open the SAP screen, and so she can enter the user ID and the password. If I ask her to execute some of the transaction code, she will execute and she will get the results. That is fine, everyone can do. But as a basis consultant, we should we should understand what exactly happening, why we are getting the screen, what exactly happening, we should understand, right? So that is what we are discussing now. Okay, so that you understand now. So right, what? Why? Because each work process will have some internal memory. In the internal memory we have the task handler. So the task handler will assign the one task to you. It will go and check in the user context. Okay, if user is valid, the password is valid, then it will go to the it will go and interrupt your screen. Then it process your screen, basically process your request, process your transaction code, this three. Then it will check nothing is there, go and DB pull and place it one copy data here. Then it will give the response back to the user. That is what will happen here, right? So here roll in means here, roll out means this is the roll out means so giving the response. So one copy of data storing into the buffers, right? That is the roll out. Here I will write down the steps here, what exactly happens here. Okay, so be patient. So just me type it here. So once the user, maybe I will call it as step number 1. Okay. So once the user click on the SAP GUI, user request is forwarded. Okay. Once the user clicks, once the user clicks on the G, GUI, then the user request sent to the dispatcher. Okay, user request sent to the dispatcher. Okay, so then what exactly happens then? Then the dispatcher will store dispatcher. Now dispatcher, what exactly it will do? Dispatcher will maintain the request in FIFO order. Dispatcher will maintain the request in FIFO order. Then it will assign to the then request will be assigned to so available, maybe you can say free work process, right? That is the step number 2. So what exactly happens here? When you click on the SAP GUI, the request is forwarding to the dispatcher in the application server level. So the dispatcher will maintain the order. It will maintain the queue, one queue. First out, first request, first out. Second request, second out. Like that, it will maintain the it will store the all the request into the FIFO order. Then it will send the request to the so it will maintain the order. It will send the request to the work process. It will send the request to the available work process. Okay. So the step number 2. So step number 2, as per user request, one work process will be allocated. The particular work process, one work process is assigned to the user. So for example, when the user log into the when user logins to the system, then dialog work process is allocated. In the work process called the dialog work process. You know, right? What is the first work process which will pick up the user request? Dialog work process. So user is unable to log into the SAP system means, so which work process we need to check?
Dialog work.
Dialog work
Dialog work.
process. Why? Because here this is the work process it is picking. So if this is down, this is dead, there is no free work process. So dispatcher will maintain the request in FIFO order. Request will be assigned to the free work process. Here there is no free work process. Then what will happen? The request will stuck in the dispatcher itself, right? Dispatcher itself, it will stuck it out. Then your request will be in the queue only. When the work process is free, then you will get the SAP screen, right? When the work process is free, then you will get the SAP screen. That will happen here. So normally sometimes we observe. So when you just click on this SAP login screen, what exactly is click on connecting, opening, loading, like that, we will get it, right? Which means there are no free dialog work process to open your screens, right? Screen that will happen here. That is happening here. So that is the reason. So it takes some time. If the work process is free, then immediately you will get the SAP screen here. Okay. So your system is not accessible. Users are unable to log into the SAP system. Its response is very slow, which means we need to look at the dialog work process. Even though dialog work process is free, what is the status of the memory, dialog memory, work process related memory? Why? Because all these internal actions will be performed in each and every work process. So we need to look at the memory and everything. These all are the internal mechanisms. So we won't see as well, but we can see the dispatcher, database, and work process we can see. But inside of the work process, we cannot see anything here. Just is the architecture wise, the coding wise, it is behaving as per the code. It is behaving as per code. The request is the work process behaving as per the request. Okay, that is what will happen here. Okay, so as per the user request, the work process is assigned to the user. Work process assigned to the user here. User. So work process will assign it to the user here. So if the user runs, if if the user runs any program or transaction code or T code, suppose like or T code, if user runs any transaction code or anything, any T code, so then it will assign to the background. Then the user runs update, he done the some modifications are done at database level, then update work process assigned. So like that. So after the user log into the system, so then he executed the some report in the backend. That time background work process will take care of that one. So he done the some changes in the database level. That time update work process will take care of the, so it changes in the system. So each work process we discussed what exactly happens and everything. So same. Okay. So that is what. So work process is assigned. Okay. So the step number. Let me take one more step here instead of writing in the same. Let me take one more step here. Okay. So once the user is assigned to the dialog work process, so here in the step number 4, what is happening here? This is the step number 4. Let me write it here. Step number 4. What is happening here? Once the user is assigned to the, so dialog work process is assigned to your user request, then it will check, it will check, it will check the work process, then user authorization, maybe I will write it here. How can I write it here? Okay, user is assigned to the, user is assigned to the dialog work process, user is assigned to the dialog work process. Then so user author task handler will go and user authorization, and so user authorization and user settings will be loaded. After the authorization is completed, user settings and everything will be loaded. User settings are rolled into the work process. Okay, it will be loaded. Okay, this will happen here. So when the user log into the here, then dispatcher one work process will be assigned. The user is assigned to the our work process assigned here. Immediately what that work process will do, will go and check in the user settings and the user data, everything will check in the role area. So once this is done, once this is completed, then it will give the response to the user. Okay, this user is valid person. So okay, user ID password is correctly entered, is the valid person, then it will process the next step. Okay, so checking the user task handler to the user context, this is called the role in memory. Role in user context, role in user context. Okay, role in user context. All the user authorizations, user settings are rolled in. That is called the rolled into the, so rolled into the work process memory. Okay, work process memory. So what cross memory. So once that is done, once your request is in, entire your request is done, you got the response, you logged out. Okay, so this is what happening here. User is assigned to the dialog work process. Immediately, the task handler will take your request. It will go, it will roll it into the user context, check the credentials. Then once it is okay, then give the response back to the your work process. This user is okay. Okay, then once user is okay, then it will check whatever the, then after that you enter the one transaction code here. Then maybe I will write it here. The step number 5, the step number 5, what will happen, it will check the, it will check the data in buffers. It will check the data in buffers. Whatever the transaction you are executing, it will check the data in buffers. So if the data exists, if data exists, then it will give the response back to, so user. So user means in this case your performance is normal performance. Okay, performance is normal performance. Okay, so I will take one more step here. Okay, one more step here. So step number 6 here. So if the data not exist, if condition, if data not exist in buffer, not exist in buffers. Okay, not exist in buffers, what happens here? Then it will, it will process your request. It will process your request, pull the data from db level, then and then one copy, one copy of the data stored in buffers, and then give the response to, give the response to user. So before giving the response to the user, one copy of data will be stored into the buffers, then it will give the response to the user. So that is called the via dispatcher, it will send the response back to the user. Okay, so at end of the screen, user data removed from the shared memory, so that we won't face any memory issues and other issues, and the same memory will be available for the others. Okay, so that is what will happen here. Okay, let me take it one more time. Okay, so GUI, when you click it, dispatcher will take, then dispatcher will maintain the request in the so FIFO order, first in queue mechanism. Then it will assign to the task handler. Task handler means where it will assign, dispatcher will assign the request to the work process. That is what we know. But in the work process, task handler will take the request. It will check the role area. It will check your data, user settings. It will load it. Then it will give the response back to the here. Once here give the response back to the here, what exactly happens when you enter the transaction code, so my go, when you enter the one transaction code, so see, it is taking some time, it is checking the buffers, it will check in the buffer. Okay, the buffer it is not exist, then immediately the work process will go to the database level, it will pull the data from database level tables, then it will give the response back to the user, right? But while giving the response back to the user, then one copy of data will store here, then it is called the roll out. Then it will give the response back to the dispatcher via dispatcher to GUI, your screen you will get. That is called the, you will get like that, you got the screen here. This is what will happen here. Okay, what if web dispatcher is not working? Then you have to tell now. Okay, in this case, if the web dispatcher is not working, what exactly happens? Then we'll kill it now. Now you can understand that. So, or anybody wants to explain what exactly the web dispatcher is not working? What exactly happens if the web dispatcher is not working? Why? The dispatcher is not working. What will happen?
Request won't be processed.
User
Sorry?
unable to log in.
Request won't be processed.
Workload
User not
increases,
logging.
sir.
Yeah, that is that no one cannot log in, right? It will not take your request. Suppose take example, I will kill the work dispatcher here. This is our training system. We have to be practical, right? So let me kill it here. See, as soon as I stopped this one, connection to partner is broken, right? Entire your system is down. See here, entire your system is down. See here, all systems are down. Entire all systems, everything is down. Now you got your answer, right? Now, if you double click it, what will happen? Now see, cannot log into the SAP system now. Why? Because who will take request here? Dispatcher. Now you forcefully you killed dispatcher. You killed the dispatcher. Then dispatcher is stopped now. Now we can understand. But now what the users will do? Users will log in. He will face the issues. Then he will raise the P1 tickets or P2 tickets like that. SAP is not accessible. SAP is down. Something like that. So then we have to investigate it. Then we need to check, okay, dispatcher is down. So why it is down? Then we need to go to the our work process, go to the here. Why? Because now we cannot do any investigation in the SAP level. Go to the directory, work directory, check why it is down. So check the logs, today's logs. Suppose take a work process. Check the today's one. Okay, dispatcher died, terminated. Okay, dispatcher died, right? Dispatcher is died. See the troubleshooting techniques, how you are taking the troubleshooting techniques now. Dispatcher is died. What time? 7:36. We stopped, we killed the dispatcher. Now we need to check the dispatcher. Dev underscore dispatcher. Where is that? Dev underscore disk. Okay, dev underscore disk. Open. So why dispatcher is down? So terminated automatically. We have stopped. We have killed that one. Dispatcher terminated automatically. So no longer needed, terminate now. Okay, so it is active, we forcefully we stopped it, then dispatcher is down. When the dispatcher is down, then all the work related work process also stopped status. Then how can we log in now? Cannot log in, right? Now what we have to do now? So this is the troubleshooting logs, we have to check it out. Now what we have to do? We need to start the system now. We need to start the system now. Okay, they starting now. So dispatcher, it won't come to the green status until their child process will come to the green waiting status. Then only dispatcher will come to the green status. Until then, see here, till then. Okay, so work process starting up. So when I'm trying to log in now, but dispatcher is not ready, but dispatcher will maintain all your requests in the orders. Okay, see here what exactly happens. So now user trying to open the SAP screen. So it is connecting. It's connecting. Please wait. Please wait. Please wait. This means it's connecting. It is maintaining the all your request in the order. Okay. Now dispatcher is green now. Okay. So now it will maintain the request in the order. Now work process, any one of the work process, the dialog work process come to the wait status. Then immediately it will assign the request to the work process. Let's see. Now I'm just refreshing the screen. You will see, yeah, nothing is there. So immediately you will get the screen now. Yeah, it's wait status. Definitely now you should get the screen now. See here, now you got the screen, right? That is what we are discussing right now. So as soon as the work process come to in the wait status, immediately you will get the screen. Till then, it's maintained the request in the order. Dispatcher will maintain the request in the order, will be assigned to the available free work process. Then the work process is assigned to the user. So then step number 3 is the optional, we just written on that. But so user is assigned to the dialog work process, then it will go and check the user authentication, right? We got the screen here now. So go enter the password. Maybe I will enter the wrong password here. So now it's checked the user context, the password and the user settings are wrong. Then we got this screen now. Now if I enter the correct password now, you will get the screen now, right? You will get the SAP screen now. SAP screen now. So yeah, the user authentication, role in user authentication, everything is done here. Then after that, after that, the dialog work process is ready to process your request. Suppose my request is to execute the one transaction code, sales order related transaction code, some goods movement transaction code. Just if you click it, then it is checking the buffers. Okay, then the data not exist in the buffer, then it will go and check in the database level, then pull the data. We are getting the response here in the screen, right? So here we can check the buffers here, st02. Yesterday and the day before yesterday, the buffers, we have the swaps are occurred from the CA buffer, right? Why means swaps are occurred. Now we did the restart. After the restart, what happens? All the swaps are gone, right? Now swaps are gone. I hope you seen yesterday or day before yesterday screen, you have seen that there are some swaps occurred. So means the buffer is full, CA buffer is full. So overflow happened. Now we restarted. Entire our buffers are flushed out, means it will be empty. So now you can see 0000. You can see the memory areas, all these things. Okay, this is the thing will happen when you logging into the SAP system. Okay, this is the thing will happening into the logging to the SAP system. Any questions from anyone? Even I have not explained this topic in the topic in the previous batches as well. For your batches, you guys are very interested. That is the reason. So I'm trying to explain this one. This is will happen as a internal mechanism, but no one ask questions and no one ask questions. But we should understand, right? So if the dispatcher down, what will happen? Now we have seen. So now we are not getting the SAP screen means now we means users are not getting the SAP screen means what and all the things we need to check. Why the response time of the transaction code is very slow. Now you will get the answers from all, right, by understanding this concept and everything, right? This is the thing will happen here. Okay, so any questions from anyone here? Nothing is there, so then I can move on to the next topic. We have only few minutes left, but just to give the overview on the transport management system. I thought of it will be completed in the soon, but it's taking time. Not a problem. So don't worry. Our understanding is very important here, not the time. Okay. So are we good? Are we good to move?
Okay, sir.
Hey, great. Okay. So now the next one, we are going to our actual topic. We are going to discuss about the transport so management system, that is called the TMS, SAP TMS, STMS. So SAP transport management system. So what is this SAP transport management system, sir? So what is mean by transport in your real life? Anyone can jump in. So what is mean by transport? Why we are using the transport in our day-to-day
To
life?
travel from one place to another place.
Excellent, excellent, good work. So any other? I want to move some data. I want to move one object. I want to move one parcel from one place to another place. Then I can use the travel option, right? Travel. So we can travel, right? So that is the reason. Travel, transport. So in your systems, in your real-time systems also, if I relate the same concept, in your real time, you have the landscape. ECC landscape, BW landscape. Landscape contains so 3 systems or 4 systems or 2 systems in the landscape, like development, quality, and the production systems. Sir, why we have the 3 systems? Can't we do everything in the one system? So if you do everything here in the production system, all business users will log into the production system. They will do the transactions here. The users will not log into the your development and the quality systems. Only they will log into your production systems. So if you are doing all the code development activities in the production system, testing activities in the production system means if something is happens, entire your system is down. Then users cannot access your product and they will not do any transaction. You may get the loss, right? So that is the business down situation. But this will not occur. That is the reason we will separate our activities. For the development, we will use the development system. For quality, we will use the quality testing activities. Then we will move to the. But here he have developed the some code. Development, you have done it. Then how to do the testing? If you have the development, then you have to move that data from this system to here. Then here your data is placed here. You will need to develop the again here in the quality system. Why? Because we have the SAP option. Moving the data from one system to another system is called the transport management. So you can move the data. Here your developer written in the some code, thousands of lines code here written. Then you want to test that code. You cannot test in the development system. You have to go to the testing system here. So the testers will test it here. The testers will test it here. Once it is success, then only they will move the code to your production system. Safely they will move to the production system. Why? Because when you are developing, something is wrong, the production system will be impacted here. then users will not be able to log into the system. Why? Because the code will create some noise here. So some noise means some abnormalities noise it will create it. So that is the reason here. That is the reason it will create some noise here. Okay. So here to move the data, objects, code from development to quality, quality to production, definitely we need STMS. How to troubleshoot if S is not able to connect to DB? So you have to ask this question in the before I am coming to this topic. Okay, I will tell you this topic. I will answer your question. Okay, yeah. So development to quality, quality to production. This is the way we have to transfer the data from here to here, then here to here. We need to check. We need to move the data here. So who will move? Means so we have to do the certain configuration in the system. Base system will move the data. Who will develop? Developers. Then who will move the data from one system to another system? So base system will move the data. That is what every day we will get the transports. After the daily monitoring, we have the number of tasks daily. We will get the number of transport requests moved to the quality and the production systems. Base system will move that one. So how to move that one? Before moving, how to configure we have to perform the TMS configuration. We have to perform it. TMS configuration. We have to perform it. So what it means transport configuration, we have to move the transport to import the data. First of all, configuration should be in place. So how to configure means I will explain tomorrow. Just to overview what is TMS means, moving the data from one system to other system to other system. Just here we will take the outside example. Outside example means suppose in a cars development showroom. So go down. They will develop here, right? They will develop they will do that. They will development activities, cost development activities. So everything in the development go down. Then once the car is ready for testing purpose, they will send to the another place where we have the quality testing, unit testing, some testings are there. They will send to the testing center here. Then once the testing is confirmed, then they will release their product to the business. They will release the product to the business here, the production business, they will release it here. Okay, this is what will happen here. But if they do everything in the one place, in the suppose this is a showroom. Normally here we will go and we will purchase the cars and everything. We will do it here. At the same time, same go down here. They are doing the development activities. They are doing the testing activities and everything. There will be clashes. There will be clashes. Everything, all activities will be clashes, right? To avoid this one, what they will do, separate things they will make it, and we will install the three systems here: development, quality, production systems. We have to install it, then we have to put the same configuration entire landscape and everything here, right? That is what we have to do here. Okay, so tomorrow we'll perform the configuration, how to perform the configuration, how to import the transport request and everything. Okay, so that is what transport request. So Mahesh, to answer to your question, how to troubleshoot FCP is not able to connect to the database. So first of all, we need to check whether my SAP system is connecting to the database or not. Okay, so SAP system is not connecting to the database means, so there is a client, DB client. So first of all, we need to check the client here. As architecture, we need to check the client here, whether client is correctly connected or not, whether the user ID and the passwords are correctly maintained in the client or not. We have to check it out. If it is okay, then definitely it will connect it. Maybe the user ID password is wrong, so then the SAP will not connect to the database. Sometimes database is up, but for ASCS, why? Because ASCS is very important here. ASCS, why? Because so ASCS is the communication between your application server. So if database down also, the ASCS will hop. ASCS means message server, MQ server. This is the standard. But if ASCS starts only, then only your application server will start. ASCS down, you cannot start the SAP application server. So first ASCS The order of the starting and stopping procedure will be first DB we have to start, then ASS we have to start, then SAP app servers we need to start. This is the order of starting procedure, right? Then stopping procedure, first application server we have to stop, then ASS we have to stop, and DB we have to stop lastly. So if you follow this order, definitely your SAP system will stop. If you don't follow, then you may face this type of issues. Okay, so you have to follow the order. So logs and all, work directory. If you go to the work directory, here clearly in the SAP level work directory, yesterday we discussed the file systems. So here clearly will see the logs, why it is not connected. You need to open the work process number 0, why it is not connected. Maybe some issues with the database. So what happened? The connection is lost to the data. Why? Because every work process while coming to the online waiting status, it is talked to the database. See here, it is connected to the database, something like that will do the information. I will show you here. Then only work process is attached to the shared memory, whatever we discussed. Then synchronization will happen. So then here, yes, see here, while work process is starting, it will always check the DB connectivity. So DB check is okay, DB connectivity is okay. Then only it will go to the next step and it will resolve the amount, memory and everything. So, okay, so it will check always, it will check it out. Any questions from anyone? See here, now I am connected to the database connection opened, DB supports, the connection is opened. Then only it will pick up the user request. So it is not connecting to the database means you will see the errors here. Logs and all, everything you can see from the work directory. Any logs you can check in the work directory. Okay.
Your screen is not on.
Sorry. No screen. What screen is? Oh, sorry. See here. So here, what I'm trying to here, if you go to the work directory, here if you go to the work directory here, in the work directory, if you open the any one of the log, suppose like work process number, this one here, every work process while connecting to the here, it is always connected to the database, right? Each work process will check the database connection. Please check the database connection. Then, so running on the host, it will connect to the database. Once connected to the database only, so trying to connect to the connection 0. So it is connecting to the database. So then once it is connected, once the user authentication, so database name, database IP, everything user, everything is okay. Then it is connected to the, now I am connected to the database. So database connection is opened now. Then once it is opened, then then DB connect is okay. Everything is happens in the fraction of minute. Now it will take your user request. It will assign. It will successfully attach it to the memory. Shared memory means role in user context. Then authentication is done. So then successfully authentication is done. Then process your request and everything. That is what will happen in the work process log. Everything you can observe in the work process log. This is our primary troubleshooting log folder here. Work directory. Any issues happens here, you need to go in the work directory. You need to check in the work process logs, dispatcher logs, and everything here. Okay. Connection refused. See here. So in your screen, you mentioned like caused by the DB cannot connect to the DB. So is your correct database address? Is it database IP cannot connect to the host? So check your database is up and running or not. So connection exception error, connection refused means your database is rejecting the connections. So which means, so first of all, check whether the database is up and running or not. The database up. So then, so what about the client? So what about the client? In HDB user store, there is a correct entry should be maintained. check whether your application to database, the connectivity is pinging is working or not. Because your application is unable to talk to your database means definitely there is a firewall issue, some port issue. So you need to check that part actually. Why? Because here it is connecting to database through this ports. Entity database through this port. The instance number 41 is the port. Check the port is active or not. Check the thing to your application to database. So this type of troubleshooting you need to check. Okay. So yeah, that's it for today. So tomorrow we'll configure the TMS and we'll start the TMS, then kernel upgrade, then operational modes and SAP upgrades. So we have few topics are left, so we'll go through those things. Okay.